Alternatives within the confines of Space Station 13 keep me up at night. Why would you want to put a game in a game? Let's just take a shortcut by creating an amalgamation of everything to make everyone happy. Except me. A one-server monopoly would be a terrible idea. Now bringing the world of SCP to SS-13 is a decent enough one. This brought out the Benny Brick in all of us. Unless you're a Class D, you'll get assigned a name because your identity doesn't matter as a prisoner. Well, as always, I stravagued around yearning for purpose. I was lost, already comparing stuff on the floor to dessert. As a Class D, I'm the animal at the Humane Society that's too stupidly cute to be put down, even though I want it more than anything else in the world. Death was gonna have to be postponed due to the round-ending save. Yeah, it's cool having credits, but they don't properly scroll. They'd rather get stuck at the top and fade away like most actors do. Speaking of movies, the typing intro makes you feel like you were in one, though it's a film with placeholder effects. Being naked at birth means you're an HCV guard. It also means you gotta participate in the sexy shit going on in out-of-character chat. Turns out, a condescending boss man was pissed about my skin suit. These online authority figures who are mad their dad once sent them to bed early are my favorite, and I'm sure they love dealing with a recalcitrant little shit such as myself. Besides my clothed nudeness, the supervisor also questioned me about a rifle I found in another department. The gun was lying around on the table. I did those unorganized slobs a favor by putting it to good use. I then had to explain to him that we were both on the same level on the chain of command, and how that rifle actually came from my locker. His main concern seemed to be undressing my flesh. Figured that is an ordeal you should run away from rather than stick around for the outcome. As a disobedient slacker, I hid in the bathroom, like when I wanted to skip school but hadn't realized you could just leave. However, in this building, I believe there aren't any exits, and this doesn't take place in space, so I can't just jettison myself into an ending. Gotta find other ways to die. I'll live for now by stealing sleeping armor that I unknowingly already owned a set of. Equipped for conversation, I asked a red guard where I could catch the creamy sights. He was an LCV guard. He then went on to explain the difference between the LCV and the HCV. The red dudes such as him oversee the prisoners, while us black guys worry about the number demons. He also pointed me towards the train bus shuttle for a ride to my department. This is where I saw my first SCP, 343, aka Moses, or God if research is conducted. A tad underwhelming. What I'm wondering is if SCPs are traitor roles or NPCs. The sleeping one makes me think it's a player, but having to wait in a cell for whatever length of time makes me believe they're computers. I mean, space station players do have ironclad patience. Of course I won't get the truth unless someone yells at me in the comments. Anyways, I brought the napper out. He moved a little, which gave a fellow guard a scare. Apart from that, he appeared brave as he shouted at empty rooms. We went back to the outpost and propped up the sleepy SCP in a chair. Standing at the end of the table was the man who may have been in charge. The probably a leader gave a toast, bragging about how high he was. I asked again when I'd get to see some inmates get mangled. One of my coworkers flipped it on me. Got all sensitive and shit. I guess he has a boyfriend locked up. Later on, we got a call about a containment breach. This SCP was wide awake, teleporting around, killing scientists and dropping flesh walls. I ran away thinking my gun was jammed when really I hadn't learned about gun safety yet. A simple toggle takes you from a green S to a red exclamation point. Then you can shoot. Colors mean a lot here. Blue gives you better vision. That's what the goggles were for. The area looked clear, safe enough to make a bad joke, though bad enough to get a bra response. My service to the people didn't stop there. Shot open a weapons crate for the hard-working cargo boys. Next, I went to the shooting gallery. The arms dealer told me what was up and sent me in. The range was low budget. Couldn't afford metal targets. Instead, they used junk such as this giant cat scratching post that had all these pusses staring. I had to give it a test round to check its legitimacy. The other marksmen put it in a cage because it was starting to fucking stink. The smell was blinding. I had to step away for a second. Upon coming back, the inanimate object went rogue. It tapped me so hard it had my ghost fleeing. The pungent beast had wiped out the entire room. After that, it became another form of security, an EZ agent. A goddamn wall of a man is what this made me. Duties also included transporting Class Ds. I'm telling you though, handing me a prisoner was a mistake. Since I was clueless as to where I was taking the convict, I planned on letting him go. Until I noticed I happened to be following a superior officer. I hadn't put two and two together till he started bitching at me. This cruel maiden is a good role player and all, but I don't see how their character made it to the rank they're at with that long ass blue anime hair. You'd think his commanding officer would tell him to gut that shit. Another shitty detail is that his name is Brian Baker, and any government official will tell you that I own the patent on every BB initialed name. Regardless, I'm forever a subordinate that gets tased every day as part of a training exercise. This put me on the banal track of if I can't have them, then no one can, leading to us getting crushed so hard by the transit our scattered remains slid through the cracks and became passengers. Yeah, Yep, our organs went along for a ride like doing anything exhilarating. Brought the excitement back down, living as an HCV guard again. The shift began with a meeting that wasn't mandatory if you didn't mind being toothless. Dramatic figure of speech considering you can't kick or remove teeth in this particular engine. I hope. Our commander gave a workplace style speech about teamwork being equipment. At the end of the gathering, I realized everyone in positions of power are anime characters. After he signed off saying something cheesy about dark and light, I got assigned to the patrol unit. My team lead instructed me to march around the upper level. Not knowing where that was, I headed to wherever staircases would take me. During my frolic, some asshole found me grinding rails and got angrier than a rent-a-cop taking their job too seriously. Really the only way to describe majority of folks who play security. Well, I suspected I was in the wrong area, yet didn't know for sure. This got me beat up and my flashlight stolen. All I could do was broadcast how power hungry he is, like pussy ass political commentators. Afterwards, I ran into a nice les guy. He could have been a territorial prick, but no, he was kind enough to guide me out of this maze. Truly a carefree officer. Didn't even bother me about my flashlight hunt. When I went back to HCV, I saw that mugger decided to steal my idea of patrolling the rival department too. Called him out for being in the wrong hood and for thieving. Got my ass whooped again. Perhaps I would have had a shot in the fight if I wasn't being held back, but that's what they all say. Back on patrol in the correct domain, I accidentally let one of the SCPs out, under the impression that it was just another room for me to patrol. Maybe if I had a flashlight, I could have known what was waiting for me in the darkness. That thief deliberately caused my death. Fine, I was dead the second I opened that door because that malnourished looking creature locked onto me like it was hungry. A surprisingly understanding admin gave me a respawn at least. Once more, got banished to Class D'ism. The prisoners were in a rowdy mood, deserving of a flashbang. I stood back watching a couple of inmates beat up a guard. This got the corner of my eye pepper sprayed. My attempt to stop the rioting involved going back to our cells and reading. The plan may have worked if the guards didn't force us back into our cells. They didn't even offer reading material. A book could have shut us up. Instead, my cellmates were yelling about one guard that they wanted dead. While my belongings were being searched, the other D-classers got the upper hand by snatching weapons off the guards. I was caught in the crossfire again, only this time I took a bullet. That put me on a stretcher. I gave up quickly because Tex invited me to go play VG Station with him, but that's a story for another day. Migrating now to a different server, Lobotomy Corporation. I got on here thinking it was another SCP server only because it said the map was a facility. Per usual, someone in OOC gave me an explanation of what I was getting into, while others questioned my authenticity. From looking at Google Images, the game it's based on looks like a dating sim with dollhouse micromanaging mechanics. The SS-13 offshoot does seem similar to SCP. You work in a lab and do experiments on internet creations. I joined in without opening the character customization menu, granting me the beautifully randomized Quentin Stern you see before you. This is a fucked up environment. The people are judgmental about appearance and so are the guns. I must mention what keeps me coming back to space. Things such as rebellion, violence, and funny dialogue. However, activities like waiting in line keep me away. Let me reiterate, everyone here is mean. Packing a soda pistol, I took my aggression out on this lanky bat. For real, the bloodshed was caused by soda bullets. Now I'll shut up and just let you watch since no narration is the future of space station videos. Shout out to the Russian. Come on, did you really think I could be silent? Locked in a cell, I sang a song to pass the time. Released from jail, I went right for the woman talking that shit. Outnumbered, I knew I wasn't gonna win. But hey, it's nice to cause disruptive friendly fire. Plus, I received a free out-of-body experience from a weapon that temporarily whacks the soul right out of you. I admire my body's ambition to escape. Given one last chance, I threw some more punches before getting murdered.